Thank you very much. Good evening, everybody. So tonight's talk will be on improving your well-being through the mind, body, and soul connection. And we're going to be looking at ways that you can adopt your own mindfulness practice. And of course, I'll speak a lot about on what is mindfulness and how will this help you in your journey right now. So the purpose of tonight's presentation is to share the latest mindfulness and well-being research and look at different lifestyle habits and routines that you can start adopting to help men with prostate cancer. So we're going to be looking at your body holistically and see what is within your grasp that you can start doing to help alleviate any symptoms or any discomfort that's going on in your life, as well as trying to improve your well-being. So wherever your baseline is right now, we're looking at ways to bring it up and help you start to feel a little bit better. And you're going to gain some awareness on what is within your control in your life and different things that you can start adopting. So just an overview of who I am, as was already mentioned, thank you. I did my master's degree in researching mindfulness and ways to teach this. So ways to not only look at the neurological and physical effects of mindfulness, but how can we get this spread to the public, to the people who need it and who it will help. I also was a yoga therapist, so I worked with a lot of patients who were going through cancer treatments or had just finished, and looking at ways that we can help support them. As well, I teach yoga and mindfulness to corporate settings, teachers, students all over the GTA. So first off, does anybody know what well-being is or want to take a guess on what you think, what makes up well-being? Just take a moment.
Feeling good about yourself.
Feeling good about yourself, exactly. So well-being is defined as the state of being comfortable, healthy, and happy. So we're looking at ways how we can improve that. First off, I just want to go over that this is a no judgment zone. So everyone who's in this room tonight is in a very different place physically, mentally, in where you're at in your journey with prostate cancer or your support with prostate cancer. So just leaving behind any preconceived notions you might have on what you think mindfulness is, or maybe any past experiences you have, and just come into this open-minded, and we'll look at some of the research and some practices you can start. And it's already a really, really big step for coming out tonight and coming to a support group, so everyone should feel really proud of yourself for being here tonight. So first off, when you get a diagnosis, whether you realize it or not, it creates a whole bout of stress in your body. So you're already going through physical stress of having cancer and having an ailment within you, and then you get this mental stress of having this recognition on what's going on inside of you. And there's a really, really strong correlation between your thoughts and your mental state and then what happens physically. So if you think about it and you think, when you feel nervous, where might you feel that in your body? So, your stomach, exactly. And when you're angry, where might you feel that, or how might your body change? Tense, exactly. Your muscles tense up. So those are thoughts and emotions, and they have direct impact on the way your body responds to them. When you're feeling peaceful or relaxed, your heart rate slows down, your blood pressure goes down. So those are all states of mind and states of being that physically affect you. So stress is obviously a natural reaction in the body, and it's something that evolutionary has kept human beings alive. Of course, if there is a stressor, our body would go into the fight or flight mode. So historically, it was if there was a bear approaching us, our body would start pumping out cortisol and we'd start reacting to the stressor. But what's happening now is that there are other stressors in our life that our body creates this chain reaction with the stress, and then the stressor maybe won't disappear. Just like maybe the cancer won't go away overnight, and then our body gets stuck in what's called this fight or flight stress mode, and that can create chronic stress. And chronic stress, we don't want that. Nobody wants that. That will not help the healing process. So mindfulness is a tool that you can use to help bring your body back to a state of rest so we can heal optimally and get the most out of the treatments that you're going through or that you've been through, or just start to help your body feel more calm, more relaxed, create a better mental state. So here's just a little infographic on some of the physical changes that take place when your body gets in this fight or flight response. So cortisol is released, adrenaline is released, this increases your blood pressure, increases cholesterol. So if you're in a state where these stressors are going on in your life and you're not coming back down to your baseline, to your level of calm and peace, then there's impacts of what can happen. So the hypothalamus will start releasing these hormones, and that takes a large toll on your adrenal glands, and it can make you feel tired when maybe you shouldn't be feeling tired, and it's not anything else other than the stress and your body trying to fight off and heal. So this is a really, really strong indicator on why we should be adopting mindfulness and why a daily routine, which is something I'll go more into later on, adopting a daily routine would be really helpful for creating a state of rest and peace within your body. So first off, I'll be talking about a mindfulness routine. So as you guys, I'm sure, are busy going from doctor's appointments and different specialists and just trying to fit in your regular lives while still trying to keep calm, and you might have an unknown where you don't know what's coming up, having a routine, so that means adopting this practice every single day, will have a large impact on your body. And even if your stress levels are up here right now, you'll slowly over time, the more you practice this practice, you'll be able to bring them back down, hopefully to a baseline. So before we get right into the meat of this, into the meat of the research, we're going to start off doing a short little meditation. So if everyone can just get comfortable in your seat, maybe adjust your body, try and keep your back elongated, just come to any position of comfort for you. And I just want you to lift your shoulders up towards your ears and exhale, let your shoulders drop down. And we'll do that one more time. So inhale through your nose. And exhale, relax your arms. And if you feel comfortable, you're welcome to close your eyes. That might help you connect with your body. But I just want you to start to notice your body sitting on this chair. So maybe you feel the backs of your legs on the chair. You might feel your back leaning against the material. And just take a deep breath through your nose and start to fill up with air. And try and get this breath to go all the way down to the bottom of your belly. And as you exhale, just allow any tension to flow out. Let your shoulders soften a little more. Maybe check in with your hands. Let your hands just come to a state of relaxation. Observe how your jaw is right now. Can you leave a little bit of space between your teeth? And maybe rest the tip of your tongue on the roof of your mouth. Just softening. And maybe you're observing that your thoughts are starting to wander off, and that's okay. That's totally normal during a mindfulness practice. But your goal here is to try and keep your thoughts and your focus on these full, deep belly breaths. So every time you notice your mind is racing somewhere else, just come back to that inhale through your nose, expanding your body, your rib cage expanding. And as you exhale, let all the air gently flow out of your nose, just softening into the chair. Let your body feel heavy. And continue every breath in, you feel this oxygen filling up. And every breath out, you have a sense of more relaxation entering. And you might notice your feet on the floor and the sensation of your feet inside your shoes. And maybe you feel some weight in your feet, some vibration or heat. Notice your legs against the chair. Maybe you feel heavy or pressure. Just observing this. And trying not to have any judgment. So if your mind is jumping all over the place, that's okay. That's what this practice is about. And every time you bring your mind back to the sound of my voice or back to those slow, long inhales, that is you practicing mindfulness. Just feeling your hands, try and soften them a little bit more. Relax your shoulders. And being aware of your whole body as best as you can. And taking one last deep breath in, filling up. And then slowly exhale. And you can open your eyes now. So you all just practiced mindfulness. So for those of you that it was your first practice, very good job. So just taking a moment to look at this picture and just observing what this means to you. So it says, welcome to the world of mindfulness. Mindful or mindful? So any observations now that we have just finished a short, that was maybe 2 minutes, 2 to 3 minutes, what do you notice about your body? You can just take a moment and maybe talk to the person beside you and share what you noticed or what you observed during that practice. So if you don't know who's sitting next to you, you can introduce yourself and just say how you feel. Okay, thank you. So just to define what mindfulness is, for those of you who maybe have never come up with the formal definition, you now have a lived experience on what it is. But the term mindfulness was coined by Jon Kabat-Zinn in the 70s as paying attention in a particular way, on purpose, in the present moment, and non-judgmentally. So there's a lot of words in there, and the paying attention, what I had you guys focusing on was paying attention to body sensations as well as your breath and your thought pattern. So there's a lot going on with your mental focus. Every time you were thinking about your to-do list, what you had to do later tonight, or maybe a conversation from today, your way of paying attention was bringing it back to your anchor. So bringing it back to that slow, long breath, bringing it back to my words. If I was having you observe how your feet were feeling or your hands, that was the paying attention part. The on purpose is, you know, the purpose is to sustain that practice of mindfulness. And the present moment, that's again the thought pattern. So not thinking about other things going on in your life other than what you were experiencing in this moment. And non-judgmentally, that just means when something does come into your mind, maybe you notice you have a negative thought pattern, and instead of saying, oh, you're so negative, why am I thinking those thoughts? Or instead of thinking, just you're observing it without any judgment. You observe that thought came in, and then you say, okay, that was a negative thought. Continuing on, let me get back to my belly breathing. And Jon Kabat-Zinn, he has a degree from Harvard and a degree from MIT in molecular biology. And he has a Nobel laureate in physiology and medicine, as well as he studied under one of the famous Buddhist monks, Thich Nhat Hanh, for anyone, maybe you've seen any books by him. And he's written many, many books. So if you're interested in learning more about mindfulness and the effect it has on cancer or on prostate cancer, he does a lot of research in that area. One book is called Full Catastrophe Living, and the other one is called Wherever You Go, There You Are. But you can come and ask me afterwards if you want more titles. So the original purpose of mindfulness was dated back millions of years ago from Buddhist monks, and their mission was to look at ways to relieve suffering and people's responses to their experience. So what their philosophy is that pain is inevitable and discomfort is inevitable, but suffering does not need to occur. Instead, they say that we can observe the pain and observe the discomfort, and once it's gone, you release it. But suffering is a mental state. So they use the practice of mindfulness to try and alleviate suffering, try and help people just have this awareness, this non-judgmental awareness, and then create the thought patterns that you want to be creating, or think the thoughts, or be able to figure out the problems that you want. And it sounds a little abstract right now, but I'm going to go into more of the science behind it on the way the brain works, as well as ways you can start incorporating it. So just take a moment and maybe think about the ways in which you suffer, because we're all human, we all suffer, and we all know that we suffer and think that we suffer. So just taking a moment. And then thinking that maybe sometimes some of our suffering isn't just our physical condition, but maybe sometimes we have harsh judgments of ourselves or of others, or we have self-limiting beliefs. That's another form of suffering. And mindfulness is just a way to observe what your habitual responses are to these experiences. So I'll be going over some of the neurology of mindfulness, the physical health effects, as well as mental health effects. So as I'm sure you guys know, the brain is the controlling organ for the body's reaction to stress, the coping reaction, and recovery process. So every thought begins in your brain, and then it creates a chain reaction. For example, if you have a thought of happiness, then your brain releases the neurotransmitters of dopamine and serotonin. So now I'll be going into some studies where they looked at the research and effect of mindfulness on patients with cancer, and more specifically prostate cancer. So this study was from biological psychiatry. And what was interesting about this study is they took two groups of people. One was group A and one was group B. Group A practiced the mindfulness-based stress reduction course that John Kabat-Zinn created at MIT, so a real mindfulness training course. And group B did a phony mindfulness meditation. So they weren't actually doing this mental practice, and they were just thought they were relaxing, and they thought they were doing meditation. And the blood test revealed that group A had significantly lower levels of inflammation in their body than group B. And both groups reported afterwards they felt more relaxed, but the measurement of the blood and the inflammation was actually done 4 months after the trial or the mindfulness course was taken. So 4 months after they learned this new skill of mindfulness, their inflammatory markers were significantly lower than the other group. So that's just a huge indicator on some of the physical changes. This is another study that looked at prostate cancer patients and breast cancer patients. And it was said through the follow-up of psychological, immune, endocrine, and blood pressure measurements, it improved their quality of life, it decreased their symptoms of stress, it altered their cortisol levels. So that's just a blood test. You measure how much cortisol is in your blood. It was significantly lower after they learned how to do this practice and after they adopted this, as well as decreased blood pressure. This next study is very interesting. It had all the other positive effects from the studies I just mentioned, so I didn't list them. But this one looked at the hypothalamic, pituitary, and adrenal axis, which is in control of the body's stress symptoms in prostate cancer individuals. So it showed a significant difference in that measurement. This other one, another pilot study on the feasibility and effectiveness of peer support through mindfulness groups with men with advanced prostate cancer. And it lowered anxiety levels, avoidance, mindfulness skills obviously improved, and there's a trend in the reduction of fear of cancer occurring, which is a very real fear that I'm sure most people have. So just some incredible effects. There are really hundreds of thousands of studies in this area, so if you're interested, just go into Google, go into a medical journal, and you can find tons online. I just did an overview of some of the other important measurable brain changes post a mindfulness adoption. So one of them is improved function of the hippocampus. So that's the part of your brain that regulates long-term memory as well as emotion. There was improved function of the amygdala, the self-regulation center, prefrontal cortex, that's your rational reasoning and higher order thinking, as well as neuroplasticity. And this was a really, really big one about 10 years ago in the area of mindfulness. And since the neuroplasticity, that your brain is able to create these new neural connections through adopting mindfulness, which is huge because it was thought that if you had an injury or you had some sort of impairment in your body, once those connections are gone, it was thought that they were gone forever. So incredible news for mindfulness on what it can do to the body. And they measure these mostly through fMRI scans. So they're actually able to see these new neural connections. And the last one is increase in gray matter. So I'm just going to go a little bit more into this area because gray matter, even in short programs where people practice mindfulness a few times a week for 1 month, it showed an increase in their growth of gray matter in their brain. And just so you guys know what gray matter does is it's responsible for memory, seeing, hearing, your executive function, your emotion control. And gray matter is known to decrease as you get older. So this is just a practice that would be obviously beneficial for everybody, but especially if you're in a situation where you want your brain functioning at its best to improve your immune system, to help fight off what's going on in your body and help support whatever medication or treatments you're already going through. So again, the brain controls stress. So if we have lower levels of cortisol, then you will have improved immune function. And if you have overproduction of cortisol, that can lead to other issues other than just feeling stressed out, because we all know that's no fun, but it can lead to digestive issues, depression, anxiety, other things that correlate with high levels of stress. So it's really important that you're taking this time, and mindfulness doesn't need to be a huge time commitment, but you're putting this effort in to try and reduce your stress levels, and that will help you feel significantly different. So now we are going to talk about how can we start doing this mindfulness practice? What should we be doing? So they say that frequency, the research shows that frequency of mindfulness is more important than duration. So there's one study that I looked at that said 3 minutes every day of a mindfulness practice showed better results than 30 minutes once a week. So it's really, really about incorporating these 3 minutes into your routine. And just like any new practice you adopt, let's say you're starting weight training and you go to the gym, you don't just jump in and grab 60-pound weights and start doing arm curls. You start with 1 or 2 pounds, and then you move up to 5 pounds, and you go up in increments. It's the exact same for mindfulness. So don't go home and do an hour meditation, because you won't get the most out of it. You want to build yourself up, and you'll notice yourself improving as your mind does not wander as frequently. You're able to stick with your anchor, your breath, or whatever type of meditation you're doing. And of course, people who practice mindfulness over a longer period of time show to have more changes in their body and report that they feel the changes stronger. So starting small and then building from there. There's many different types of mindfulness practices, but I'm just going to focus on a couple. So one of them is guided meditation. That's just what I did with you right now. I was the guide. You were the one who is doing the meditation. And you were just listening to the sound of my voice. And there's many different places you can access guided meditations for free and very easily. One of them is on YouTube. Just type in 2-minute meditation. You will get hundreds of thousands of results, and then you can start to see which ones you like. Do you like a breath meditation? Do you like a mental awareness meditation? Do you like a body scan meditation where you're going through and observing different parts of the body? Just playing around and seeing which ones you enjoy is the best thing, and then you can start to learn more about the different areas. Another one is there's many cell phone apps that you can get on your phone. There's one called Calm, there's one called Be Mindful, and it's voices that can walk you through. A really great one is Headspace, or you can do it directed with a timer. And another big thing is mindful movement, and I'll be getting to the yoga segment and how yoga has been shown to improve patients' self-reported symptoms with prostate cancer, but we'll get there. Something else that you can start incorporating other than your mindfulness routine, so other than those 2 or 3 minutes that you're going to start off with and set aside to practice mindfulness, is trying to be more mindful throughout your day. So just take a moment and think about an activity that you enjoy, something you like to do that's not using technology, where you lose track of time. So for some people, maybe that's gardening, or for some people, maybe that's going for a walk. For some of you, it might even just be doing the dishes or folding your laundry. Maybe that's something that you can do where you're not thinking about your long to-do lists or different thoughts. You're just focused on what you're doing. And you can incorporate your mindfulness practice into these daily routines. It doesn't always need to be sit down, turn on my cell phone app and do my mindfulness. You can say, oh, I have to go and vacuum the house. I'm going to mindfully do that. And as you hold the vacuum, you're going to say, am I taking full, long, deep breaths? Do I feel the sensation of the heavy vacuum in my hands? Or do I feel my feet walking on the ground? You're able to incorporate this mindful attitude and these mindful thoughts instead of just letting your brain wander. And every time you come back to saying, oh, why am I thinking about that dinner I'm going to later, what I'm eating for dinner, come back to where I am right now and make that your practice. So it's just taking the philosophy of the present moment and applying it to these day-to-day acts. So we're going to do a little short breath meditation. So what we did before was just a general overview. So again, you guys can just take a moment, everyone just reach your arms up to the sky, take a little stretch. Oops, sorry about that. Take a breath in. And exhale, spread your fingers and slowly bring your arms down as you let the breath out. Good, and we'll do that again. Inhale, lift the arms up. Spread your fingers and exhale, just soften the shoulder blades. Good, and this might be a big stretch on its own, and then we'll just waterfall the fingers down. So shake the fingers on the way down. Good, and again, for this next meditation, you can feel free to close your eyes or to just sit there comfortably with your eyes open. And just begin to take some slower, deeper breaths. So as you slow down your breath, you're evoking what's called the parasympathetic nervous system. So this is the system, it's nicknamed the rest and digest system. It's the opposite of the fight or flight system, the one we learned about where your body's in the stress response. We're moving now into the relaxation response. And you do that by trying to slow down your breath. So inhale through your nose, and then gently let the air flow out of your nose. And try and make your exhales longer than your inhales. So maybe inhale for a count of 4, 3, 2, 1, and exhale for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And continue inhaling at your own pace, but just keeping your full attention on each breath as it enters your nostrils, as it travels down your lungs, and it causes your whole belly to expand. And notice each breath out as your belly contracts, as the air moves through the lungs, back through the nose, and out, inviting your full attention to this flow of your breath. And you may experience as the air cools as it enters your nose, and the air feels warm as you exhale. And as you turn more deeply inward, just begin to notice and observe any noises around you. So just simply not getting distracted by them, but you're observing them. And then bring your attention back to your breath. And just coming back to your normal breath, not trying to change anything about your breath. Just observing and accepting the way your body is in this moment without any judgment. And sometimes that's hard. But just bringing your focus back to paying attention to your natural inhale pace, your natural exhale pace. And if your mind's wandering to any thoughts, any plans or problems, just observe your mind wandering. That's okay. Watching the thoughts as they enter your awareness as neutrally as possible. And then just let go of the thoughts as if it was a leaf floating down a stream. And in your mind, place each thought that arises onto a leaf and watch as it floats out of sight and down the stream. And bring your attention back to your breath now. Remembering that your breath is your anchor, so this is where you return over and over again if you're distracted by your thoughts. Continuing to breathe. Just observing the types of thoughts that hook or distract you. And remembering that this observation and this noticing is the richest part of learning through this experience. And with this knowledge, you can have more awareness of your thoughts. And then bring your focus back to your breath. Giving your breath your full attention as you feel the rise of your stomach on the in-breath and the relaxing and letting go on the out-breath. Allow yourself to completely be with your breath as it flows in and out. And you might become distracted by pain or discomfort in your body, any twitching or itching sensations. And just draw your attention away from these and to your breath. And you may notice feelings arising, maybe sadness or happiness, maybe frustration or contentment. And just acknowledging whatever comes up, including your thoughts or your stories about your experience. Notice where your mind is going without any judgment, without trying to push it away, without any clinging or wishing it was different. And simply refocus your mind and guide your attention back to your breath. Breathe in and breathe out. And follow the air all the way in. So really feel it move down your belly. And follow it all the way out as your whole body softens. mindfully feeling this moment by moment movement of your body. And if your mind wanders away from your breath, just noticing it without any judgment, be it a thought, an emotion, a sensation that hooks your attention. And you're going to bring your attention back to the expansion of your body, just taking a mental scan, starting from your head. So observing how your head feels, your neck, maybe softening any tension there. Relax your shoulders. Your arms are soft and heavy. Just observing your heart space. Does it feel tight, soft? Moving down your back, your mid-belly area. Just feeling a subtle softness here. Your hips, heavy on the chair. Observing your legs. Just notice if you can soften them. Maybe they relax onto the chair. Maybe your knees widen apart. Coming all the way down to your feet. Are they fidgeting? Or are they soft and still? And then with your eyes closed or open, just sensing the room around you. So just maybe before you even open your eyes, you can feel the person next to you. And then whenever you're ready, you can gently open your eyes, coming back into this awareness. And remembering that the breath is always the refocusing tool to bring you back to the present moment. So you don't need to be in a meditation to be using some of this newfound awareness on what the slow belly breathing does. Because if you were all wearing heart rate monitors, you would see everything start to slow down. And when your blood pressure goes down and your body softens, you get into this parasympathetic state. Everything moves freer in your body. So in the second half of this meditation, we'll be discussing more of the nervous system, but I think now is a good time for a short little intermission. So we're on to some of the yoga portion of this presentation. I just want to speak a little bit briefly about what the benefits of yoga are. So again, yoga is different than stretching in the sense that it's creating this mindful awareness while you're having body movement. So you might be in these poses, you might be in a yoga class, but it doesn't mean that you're practicing yoga unless you have that metacognitive awareness on, are my thoughts on the movement of my body? Am I breathing these belly breaths? Am I moving with awareness? Is there pain in my body? So the effects that yoga can have on the nervous system are really, really profound. And one of the ways is that it evokes that parasympathetic nervous system. So there's many different types of yoga. So for anyone who's done yoga before and in their head has it marked yoga's not for me, just drop that notion aside, because there are literally hundreds of styles of yoga that are so different. So there's restorative yoga, which is more for when the body needs to be restored back to its baseline, which is where I would suggest starting. And those are through long and slow holds of poses that are passive. And what I mean by passive is you're basically lying down on the ground the whole time, hardly moving, but the slight contortion of your body, let's say in a twist, provides pressure on some organs, it stretches some organs, and it really aids your body in the detoxification process, as well as you get that mindfulness component during the class. So restorative yoga is what I'd call it, and you start there and then you would move up to other styles of yoga, such as yin yoga or hatha yoga. And it's about creating this connection between your mind and your body, because oftentimes when you are diagnosed with a physical ailment with prostate cancer, you might start to notice the area around your prostate can also become affected. So maybe some of you feel back pain, or some people have digestive issues. it's really important that you're able to connect the brain, the physical nerves, because our body is, again, this is a picture of the nervous system. We want to get these nerves and these neural messages flowing properly, increase your blood flow, increase basically the communication between the brain and the body. And that's what I meant by the brain and body connection. So there is a study recently published in Harvard's Medical Journal that yoga lessens treatment-related symptoms in men with prostate cancer. So men who took these classes, and it was 2 classes a week for 75 minutes. And this was a bit more of an active style yoga. It's called hatha. It's poses like this one, where you're in the pose holding it for a long time. And the symptoms that were affected, they've reported less fatigue, fewer sexual side effects, better urinary function. So you're able to start strengthening the body, strengthening your pelvic floor, strengthening your core, and help support you. So I'm not going to go into the details, but basically the men reported all of these positive things, and there was 2 groups. There was a group that did the yoga and the group that didn't, and they got the same treatment. And the group that didn't do the yoga reported a worsening of symptoms, and the people in the yoga group either improved or stabilized. So remembering there's no downfall to doing this, especially if you're doing it in a gentle environment with an instructor who knows how to teach this. So these are just some of the types of yoga. Very briefly, these are a few yoga poses. Let's say you just want to start 3 yoga poses into your routine. This is called cow face pose. And this one's really good. You might not look like this man here in the picture. He's probably been doing yoga for 20 years. So do not worry. But it's just the movement of even sitting on the ground with your spine straight. Maybe that's where you start. Maybe in a few weeks after you practice that for 2 minutes, just starting small, then you start to move one leg over. And then maybe the next month you start to move the other leg. This is like a end goal, but yoga is really just about movement with breath. So it doesn't matter what the pose looks like. This is a wide-legged forward fold. This guy's been doing yoga since he was born, so don't compare yourself to him. This guy, he's been practicing a little bit. But just the forward fold is really good to getting fresh blood flow to your heart and your brain. So it's called an inversion. It's really energizing. So even if you just stand there and you just slump forward a tiny bit, you don't have to do the full body, but it's just taking this time and effort to do a little bit of movement can really start to affect your body. Moving on to habits and routine. So whether you guys realize it or not, you all have a daily routine. Maybe you wake up at the same time, you go and you brush your teeth, or you put on a pot of coffee. So just thinking about you all have a routine, and I'm just going to briefly go over the importance of routine. So many doctors, psychologists, psychotherapists support the idea of having a routine. And it's just the way that your brain works is when you know what's coming next, you know what to expect, you actually use less energy. Your brain literally uses energy, so you don't need to be expending energy in your thought process. Your energy can be used elsewhere. So it's important to adopt healthy routines. And we'll be getting into what sample daily routines are. And it's really good on your nervous system. So whether you realize it or not, your nervous system might be up on edge. So when you know what to expect or you know what comes next, it allows your nerves to calm and relax, and then you're able to make these healthy choices easier when you know what to do. So a sample morning routine I have is to awaken, do your morning hygiene, you brush your teeth, you scrape your tongue. And for those of you that don't know what tongue scraping is, it's part of Ayurveda, which is the ancient Indian wisdom of preventative medicine. And you might wake up with like a little film on your tongue, maybe you don't know what that is. And when you scrape it off, these are just toxins and bacteria that accumulate while you sleep. It's your body detoxifying. So if you go and you start chugging water or whatever you do or drink in the morning or eat, and then you swallow these back down, your body's just worked hard while you're sleeping to get rid of this. So you want to just go buy a tongue scraper. They have them at Shoppers Drug Mart, Walmart, health food stores. You just literally scrape your tongue. After that, you would want to have a glass of warm water. You might want to put a little bit of lemon in it, and avoid drinking coffee or tea right when you wake up. And the reason for that is the warm water actually cleanses and awakens your digestive tract, and it hydrates your tissues, and it promotes bowel movements, which is really important in the morning time. And it's best to not drink the coffee and tea because those are diuretics and they put stress on your kidneys, on your adrenal glands. So I'm not saying don't drink your coffee or tea, but just make sure the first thing that you're ingesting is something hydrating and nourishing. After that, Abhyanga is just a daily oil self-massage. And it might seem really silly, like you're not going to the spa, you don't want to put oil all over yourself, but this actually nourishes your tissues from the outside. And as we saw in the picture of the nervous system, the nerves start in the brain, move down the spinal cord, spread through your organs, and they end in your skin. So by giving yourself that oil self-massage, it's very soothing for your nerves, and that oil sitting on your skin actually keeps the nerves calm. It'll calm your nervous system. And your physical nerves are tied to your thoughts. So when you notice your thoughts are racing and racing around, your nerves are shooting overactive signals. So you want to be calming that. And then this is a good time to slot in your meditation practice, maybe 1 minute, 2 minutes, starting wherever you'd like. And then some movement, some exercise, depending, maybe go for a short walk, and then have your breakfast. And you do this on an empty stomach for a reason. When you eat food, then your body is processing and digesting, so working hard to break down this food. When you do all of these things on an empty stomach, it has more of an impact on your organs. For all of that movement, those twists, the drinking, your body can really work hard to detoxify, and that's what everybody wants to be doing, but especially when you're taking medication, you need to support the detox system in your body. A few other parts of your daytime routine is your metabolism is largest between, like in the middle of the day, so you try and make that your largest meal. Keep an appropriate pace, so just making sure that you're really listening to your body, not booking in too many things to do in a day, and taking time for rest. For an evening routine, just make sure you're preparing for your next day the night before. This will help you sleep more peacefully than if in your sleep, subconsciously you might be planning and doing your to-do list while you're sleeping. Maybe some of you wake up with those things running through your mind. If you stop using technology before sleep, that helps your circadian rhythm. Trying to eat at consistent hours, that also supports the nervous system. And trying not to eat right before bed, because then your body won't be having as restful of a sleep because it'll be working hard to digest. So trying to do that a few hours before, and then you'll actually sleep more peacefully. As well as really trying to put in that relaxation or that enjoyment time. So making sure you're still taking time for yourself, doing things you enjoy, and trying to make that a priority. Because sometimes when you might be putting other people before you, putting your spouse, your children, your job, wherever you're at, really making sure you're putting what you want to be doing in your relaxation, because that's extreme importance for your mental health. As well, sleeping a decent amount, so just listening to your body. If you need to sleep more than usual, then sleep more than usual. Next is having your view towards food and looking at it as fuel. So food can either nourish you, so it can either give you the support that your body needs, or it can take away from that. So if you're eating processed, heavy, unhealthy foods, it causes more harm on your body. So you just really want to be mindful and using that new mindful philosophy in everything you're eating. Is this helping or harming me? So some do's for prostate health in your diet is the easiest foods to digest are warm and cooked vegetables. So trying to have a plant-based diet. The Canadian Nutrition Guide suggests anyways, if you have a plate, half of your plate should be vegetables, 1/4 protein, 1/4 carb. So making sure you're trying to follow this, eating whole grains, light proteins like chickpeas, mung dal, chicken, sweet juicy fruits. Don't avoid or try not to eat a lot of foods that are dry and that are lacking in nourishment. So maybe dry cereals or crackers. And avoiding ice cold drinks or cold foods. Sometimes even cold salads can be hard on the body to break down because raw vegetables do require more effort to digest than cooked ones. So just tuning in, when you eat something, is it sitting well? Do you feel sluggish and tired after? Spicy foods also hard on the body. Cold and heavy foods such as ice cream, rich desserts. There's a lot of research coming out and in the last while on the nutritional value of spices and some anti-inflammatory properties of turmeric, different ways it can help you. I'm not saying go and take any supplements, but just if you're cooking and you like the flavor, then add it in. Add in more spices. The same goes with black pepper. There's some studies that even after 20 days, the measurement of the liver systems changed significantly, and the only change they made was adding in black pepper to their diet. There's no other changes. So just trying to have what's called mindful eating. So even though I said certain foods to avoid, making sure you're also feeding your soul. So if you're craving ice cream and you want ice cream, then go and eat ice cream, but make sure you're doing it mindfully and it's not a habit. It's not every day after dinner, I eat my ice cream because that's what I do. You're eating your ice cream to enjoy it and savor every bite, savor every moment. And just being mindful that when you eat, are you scarfing down your meals just to eat it and get it over with, or are you actually sitting there and having some enjoyment? So trying to take note of that, and that'll help digestion as well if you're having any issues in that area. And I'll just close off with Thomas Kuhn wrote The Structure of Scientific Revolution, where he came up with the term paradigm shift. And for every big scientific breakthrough, it starts off with putting aside old ways of thinking. So tonight I threw a lot at you in terms of mindfulness and these philosophies and the research. So just starting to listen to your body and allowing this paradigm shift to take place. So even though the stuff I gave you, it's not medical, I'm not a doctor, these small different changes that you can make in your daily life can actually have a really profound impact. And all it starts off is just putting away an old way of thinking and adopting these very small but sometimes difficult practices. So if mindfulness was a pill, you definitely want to be taking it. So you guys all saw the research, you know what it can help. I'll just leave you with eat right, try and get movement, listen to your body, and start your daily mindfulness practice. Thank you guys so much for coming tonight, and I really hope this was helpful, and I'll answer some of the questions now that you might have. So let me just gather them.